my black and white scarf, my black and white scarf, my black and white scarf, my black and white. Yeah, it's black and white. We're just black and white. It's my black and white. It's my black and white scarf.
Hello, and you're very welcome to the Town End Podcast. It's Season 5, Episode 24. Well, it's the end of the road for the FAI Cup at the first time of asking for Dundalk as we fall to a 2-0 home defeat against Sligo Rovers tonight in a game where we probably had the better of the play, but once again, just two probably little bits of extra skill meant that Sligo Rovers just went away with all, or went through to the next round, should I say? I'd like to say went through with all the points. Gally, you better come in quickly. I'm pretending we're in the league.
You caught me mid-drink and laugh at the same
time. It's very hard to sum that one up. Even talking to Kieran after the match there today, like, we were probably the better side, probably had the better opportunities, but undone by two magnificent strikes.
Yeah, and that probably was... Look, in a way, it was a decent scenario to go into the game. But if we thought, if we sat here a couple of weeks ago and thought, God, we had a bit of a run in the cup, we'd probably edge it on the night. And then, long term, are we better off going out? No, look, you'd love a cup run, but I mean, at the same time, promotion is the first division is the key. The extra games, although you'll have a couple of fixtures moved around for you. The goals tonight, Sligo scored, like Adrian Taff had said in the comms. They had a decent game, but their two chances are just top class. I mean, their two finishes are just, it's got Premier Division written all over them. That's kind of, it's almost vintage Dundalk back in the day. That's, they're almost the most unlikeliest of goals from Sligo Rovers, if that makes sense. So we've seen over the last couple of years. You can't do it. Like, I was going to say you can't do it with the goals, of course you can. But I mean, two cracking strikes, the keeper doesn't get to either of them. Look, you can talk about the earlier balls and stop the crosses, things like that, but Dundalk, for tonight, whatever about the whole game, 90 minutes, definitely the first half, we had a better team. But unfortunately, again, we've the two major culprits of what we've been talking about most of the season, that we can't seem to put the ball in the back of the net. Yeah. And we've gone in at half-time when Dundalk don't want half-time. We need another couple of minutes of that first half. And we've come out in the second half again and just not got at it. We haven't just continued that. And for most of the second half, we did continue it, but in those split 10, 12 minutes at the start of the second half, we've reverted back to almost, we forgot what we've been doing in the first half, if that makes sense. The Sligo just saw the opportunity. And look, two crosses, again, the two crosses in for the ball, the two finishes are as good as anything you'll see in the Premier Division against any team, for any team. But you can't switch off like that. You can't give them that little bit of sharp space. And, again, Enda Minogue, look, you can't do a lot about it. Those two fantastic strikes. But again, we've been our own downfall, albeit it is a cup, albeit a Premier Division. It may highlight other things as well, maybe squad. But I mean, I don't think we've done ourselves any harm. I think, look, it was a shot to nothing really tonight. It's a home game. Back maybe a bit more of an electric crowd. Didn't seem to be. Maybe it's just the cameras and the speakers off. Not to do with the cameras, sorry. But yeah, it's if you're going to be bad at the first time of asking in the cup, you'd love it to have been maybe like a Shamrock Rovers or a Derry or something like that. But just for that atmosphere, games against Sligo notoriously aren't. It's not like they're the big kind of be all and end all games. Yeah. But yeah, you would have liked a bit of a second or third round tie. But look, it's not the end of the world. But I mean, it's disappointing. We played well and not even put the ball in the back of the net. Because we definitely earned a goal. Look, you can't play, I suppose, you can't be naive in front of goal and then concede two crackers like that and then expect to get something from a game. It just doesn't work. But it's disappointing that we've lost, but I wouldn't be too bothered about the performance. I thought we were excellent. And there was times in the game I thought we actually played the best football we played all season. Some of the 1-2 touches outside the box were as good as anything we produced. I mean, how's your luck? Dean Ebby runs in on goal round the keeper. If he's on the other side of the goal, if he's on his right foot, it's in. Yeah. You're just not going to get those breaks against a Premier Division team, and that's why we find ourselves in the first division, because we haven't taken those teams to the sword last year. We haven't been good enough. But look, performance-wise, it's a weird one. That I'm delighted with the performance, but it's you can't do anything with the goal. The goals are sensational.
Yeah.
Apart from closing down the crosses, and taking our own chances, that's probably where we've gone wrong again. We simply haven't got. I was going to say we haven't got a strike. We do. We just seem to be. There's games there. Like, there's not many games we haven't scored in. When it's.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably the most disappointing. If it's a 2-1 game or a 3-1 game, even, you're probably not as disappointed because we've had chances and we've had plenty of the ball. We've done Kieran's done his now world famous, 3-prong substitutions. And look, there's bits and pieces that it's come off, and some of the crosses were a wee bit kind of, a wee bit off. But it's hard to sum it up. Look, you're disappointed you're out of the cup, but at the same time, it could be a blessing later on in the season. But that's not to say that, we would have loved to go into the next round. I'm not trying to sit here and say, oh, bet you. So we didn't want to win it anyway. Of course you want to win it. You want to do it. You want to win the rounds and get, whether it be a draw later on or whatever, whoever it is. And we got a bit of the luck. Crumlin have played down the road. We've got a bit of a wayside. Celtic have played Bray. Look, it's we draw a Premier Division team, and that's just the way we are now. We're first division, so anything if it's not Leinster League is going to be a tough fixture. And that's not being disrespectful to Leinster League teams. But look, we've done ourselves. I don't think we've done ourselves any harm. I just think on the night we probably could have maybe grabbed a goal or two. So I think if we had got a goal even in the last 10 minutes, we probably would have got another one. And it's disappointing probably to go out. Yeah, but look, I wouldn't be. I quite happily trade a run in the cup to get promoted 3 or 4 games early.
Yeah, look, it's the same old. We seem to create chance after chance, and I think when you look at the Bray match and this match, and you put them side by side, you're probably thinking you've created enough chances in these 2 games to win 5. We haven't scored 1. I suppose the news coming that Mayowa is out for a few weeks, and it doesn't look like it's that bad, but we're probably talking maybe 4 weeks out, probably for him. So a little bit of a reshuffle with Sean McHale goes in defence, and then he unfortunately picks up an injury himself, and then I don't think O'Keefe probably thought he would. Maybe a substitute appearance for last 10 minutes for a run out. Definitely not expecting to play most of the game. But to be fair to him, I thought O'Keefe done pretty good at centre back, and we needed, considering the rest of the substitutes, like when Sean Keogh went off injured, it's Sean Spate coming on. It's a 19-year-old being replaced by a 16-year-old. So we were glad to have the experience of O'Keefe in the defence tonight. But unfortunately, that's 3 defenders now injured in the case of a week, which would be a little bit disappointing, I suppose, for Kieran.
Yeah, considering we just signed a striker. The irony of it all is frightening. I think his brother's got a few more weeks to go. Has he got still injured? He's still got a few more weeks to go.
It looks like he just had a small strain on Friday, so they didn't want to gamble him for it.
Yeah, it's that time of the season you're coming into. We did say July. I think Steph might have said at one of the very early podcasts. July.
That was the last time he was on.
That was probably the last time we was here, probably early February. But I think we were talking about July, August being your key, especially first division, because we finished a little bit earlier. But July, August is key, and it's just you're coming to you've got a transfer window there. Where and look, Wilson's come in as well. Let's not forget, been right back and very consistent so far, but. Yeah, you don't want to be doing. We did say, if we get a couple of injuries, we have the squad to deal with that, but we probably didn't expect 3
in a week.
In the space, 6-7 days, and that's just bad luck. It's just pure bad luck. We can talk about the pitch. The pitch now, I don't think I've seen the pitch. I'm not getting off site here, but I don't think every pitch looking so bad tonight as it did tonight.
Yeah, I think the wee drizzle in the second half in particular kind of.
But look. You have to deal with these type of things. We have, the lads have put together a squad to deal with this. Conor O'Keefe, I mean, look, you can call an experienced player like that. It's great to have him. He definitely wasn't expecting. He didn't even look like he was dressed, ready to go. He probably got an awful shock when he walked. So Michael had originally stayed and thought everybody was fine, but look, it was only within a couple of minutes he's off again. Yeah. And that was probably Michael's time to come in. And you know what? Look, he's probably been signed. I would have assumed he was signed to play, but then with the emergence of Vinnie Leonard. That's kind of come from nowhere, really. So he would have really been chomping at the bit to get look, he's not wishing for anybody to be injured, but he would have been chomping at the bit to get a proper run at it, which he hasn't. And I don't know what the injury is. I don't have an update on it, but
not yet. I don't think Kieran said anything. He did. He'd just be assessed.
Yeah, it could be just one of them where O'Keefe is going to find himself, unless they change it. You've always got Delvin at right back, but then you're still missing a centre back head, I suppose, and that experience of O'Keefe, even though he is a right back normally, he has played centre back on a number of occasions. So it's experience, I suppose. Vinnie Leonard is probably worth 2 men on his day, but yeah, it's not ideal. It's not ideal. When you're talking, probably the most important time of the season now is probably the next 6 to 7 weeks. But look, that's where you have a squad for. That's where you bring these in, you sign them. You've got options. We've said it before. We've got options of players playing 2 positions, and that's kind of the team we have at the minute. So it'll be interesting to see how we go.
When we look back at just that whole first half, probably the 2 best chances probably fall to Harry Groom, who we're now expecting, once he's on the edge of the box, he's getting a shot off, pulls Sam Sargent into a good save, probably comfortable enough for him, but a decent chance nonetheless. But Conor O'Keefe's header at the end, I think is it a little bit caught in, so it gets pinged into that back post. He kind of climbs up. Is he heading it back across goal, or is he heading it to goal? It's kind of lost in the middle there.
He'll probably say he's heading it back across. That's what he's probably going to say. But it is one of them where it almost looks like he changes his mind. Not that he changes his mind. It kind of looks like he just wanted to hit him, and just for the ball just to do something for him, something right. And it's just one of them things that, maybe if maybe an own Kenny or Dean Abbey at falls, you never know, or Mayo, I suppose, that kind of. Or Vinnie Leonard. I wouldn't name all the squad here. I'm not saying anybody but Conor O'Keefe, because he's well used to it. But it's just one of them that, in the night that it was, they're not going to fall for you. Like they're right. It doesn't matter where you place, and it probably, because internet's probably called for offside or probably something stupid. It's one of those nights, but he's kind of caught in between, I suppose. But he'll probably claim that because it didn't go in. I know I was sending it across, but on another night, when things are going well, if they just bounce off your head and go into the back of the net, it's one of them.
It also seemed to be something we were working on, like set pieces. We seemed to have something short, whether, if we were to knock them into the box, but we were changing angles quite a lot in that first half. Probably one of the best first half that we've seen from Darrell Horgan in quite some time as well. Who's really shown his worth as well. It just, like, I think our conversation on the gantry was more of, it's similar to the Cove match, of when you come up against kind of higher opposition that we find less often, I suppose, in the first division. We're able to raise our game to that standard, because I think we were pretty much toe to toe, or probably shaded it slightly in the first half against Sligo. But I don't know if we ran out of steam, or it was just the fact that when that first goal came, it just seemed like a sucker punch to us. And then obviously with the second coming so soon after, it was a real hill or a mountain to climb at that stage.
Yeah, I think the 2 goals that Sligo scored, whatever the quality of them, that will always show. Like, when you play a Premier Division team, a full-time outlet that are used to kind of not dominating games, but playing at a higher level, those goals will fall for them, and they will take those chances. Whereas, we're talking about Darrell Horgan. They're Darrell Horgan goals. The first goal is a Darrell Horgan goal, probably a Harry Groom goal maybe as well. But when you're playing, like Darrell, the thing with Darrell Horgan, he's Premier Division all day long. Now, whether he's high Premier Division, I don't know. He's definitely our Premier Division, should we get promoted. But like you said, like the Cove game, when we come up against higher opposition, we know we have that in our tank. The problem is that we've had all season is that we're not putting, I don't want to sound rude, it's not that we can drag down. We're not being dragged down to a level. It's just the first division is a physical. It's such a draining league.
There's not a lot of teams open though and trying to play against us.
Absolutely not. When they come to Oriel Park, they know what they're going to get, and they're quite happy to kind of close the game, keep it compact, keep us compact. Actually, not keep themselves compact, and not give us a lot of room. Whereas Sligo, they play a certain way, and it almost suits us, and that's why we've probably had. In many ways, it's probably the most dominant game we played all season in parts of the match.
Definitely.
Where we wouldn't get the rub of the ground. Like if the game's on in Sligo, on the grass, I'm not making excuses. We probably get something from it. We might get a replay. But like Frank said, the 2 goals, they took their 2 chances, but that's the difference. That's why teams are, that's why we're playing first division football, because we don't take chances and we give up too many. And when you're playing higher opposition, if we play a first division team tonight and those chances fall, they probably don't score, and we probably get one down the other end. It's just one of them. But we've definitely shown in parts that, although we're probably short 1 or 2, maybe, if that's your kind of mid-table Premier Division team or lower table, I suppose, then we definitely probably look at, definitely adding to the squad should we get promoted. But I don't want to get too fixated on that. We're just talking the game itself. I thought in many parts we were excellent. I think we're definitely capable of playing at a higher level. It's whether or not, Vaughan might make a difference. I almost called him Trevor there. I was thinking of our jersey and what your interview on the Dog FM earlier on this morning, Chris. But he might have made the difference. Now I don't know. The registration was late.
Look, I actually met him on the way out tonight. He says it'll be sorted by Monday. So it just didn't. It's just didn't go through. I knew they were up against a deadline. I think for 12 o'clock today. So it obviously just
and whether he would have come into the game, whether they would have threw him in, I don't know. He'd still be in pre-season over in England as well. So, but definitely someone like that. Look, at hindsight could be great, but I think we had enough in the team tonight. Like you said, the Hogs. Ave Devlin again was just like.
I forgot about Harry Groom's one he just put past
Harry Groom,
at the end of the first half, by the way. Oh my God, I thought it was in.
Yeah, and he was given the beauty of the game tonight was he was always given a bit of a higher role in the game tonight.
Yeah,
he was able to orchestrate in around the box, which
I think with Tracy and A kind of sitting behind that, and Tracy absolutely phenomenal in the first half again. My only worry was could she and Tracy keep those levels up that high intensity for the second half? Of course, he ended up being one of the players come off, but he had a really, really good first half as well.
Yeah. And his pace to bone. I don't think people realise how quick across the ground he is. I definitely didn't until probably I think they played the Longford match. He's so quick across the ground.
Yeah, he's very good.
So fast from midfield, really quick.
I think, Gally, for anyone watching who wanted a masterclass in defending tonight, Patrick McLean was just bloody everywhere.
Yeah, he's cut above. Yeah,
he just he came in and I watched him in the Derry match there recently. I know he scored in that one too, but he just looked to be in the right place at the right time for everything. Perhaps sometimes we needed to think of something different because every high ball in there, he was just mopping them up all day, every day. But he just knew how to put his body in the way of absolutely everything. Ruby had a tough night, I thought, against him. Battled hard, got in front of him when he could, but Patrick McLean kind of is happy for you to do that, and he'll nip away at your heels and force you away from goal, and that's all he's looking for. Is it any surprise that he's causing an absolute muddle at that front post for the first goal, that Enda comes out, kind of punches it away because Patrick's right there in front of him? It lands to James McManus. Like you say, it's a beautiful goal. You have to just sometimes sit back and just say, wow, one strike. But when you talk about all the chances we just had, the players playing well, it just bang out of nowhere. It's a quality strike like that, and you're left ruining your chances.
Yeah, and the build up to the goal is decent. I mean, look, they've gotten a bit of pressure, but they've only gotten pressure. You're probably talking in and around the box for the 2 goals, and you're talking a minute between a minute each, maybe. Yeah. And again, like you say, Patrick, he has that presence. He'd kind of be like,
he's a big unit.
Yeah, he's kind of a mixture of kind of Andy Boyle and like a Paddy Barrett. He has that presence where he's there. You don't have to see him. He's there. You're fearful of him. He's definitely a set piece threat as well for them. But I mean, he's a striker's nightmare. Even if you were to put even if we had Pat Hoban there tonight, it's probably the only striker I can think of that'll probably go toe to toe with him on tonight's performance. And even at that, I think he just had one of those games. And look, we've seen him play before. He's a fantastic footballer, and he can play. And I don't mean to sound cliche. He wants to defend. That kind of.
He loves it.
Everybody loves it. Defenders want to defend, but he's built this game on that's what he loves to do. Not I wouldn't even care if he ever passed the ball forward. He just loves defending, get stuck in, and I'd say he's an absolute. Like a Ruby is quick across the floor, but he wasn't getting anything out of him tonight. And if a player like a Ruby, and you could argue Owen Kenny as well, isn't getting any joy. There's not anybody really on the bench. You can argue maybe Parrish if maybe higher up the pitch, but there's nobody really that if you're not getting joy out of those 2 boys who are quick, physical, strong across the ground, quick across the ground. So I should say, strong physically. Upper body strength. There's not really a lot you can do with that. You can't run out of options very fast. But I mean, I don't know who got mad at the match in Oriel Park, but I mean, he had to be right up there, and I hardly gave it to him because he's Sligo. But I'm sure Devon would have got it. But a fantastic performance by him. I mean, there's not like a Ruby, led the line really well. Like at times,
I don't think he done anything wrong.
Yeah, look, don't get me wrong. Patrick didn't get it easy. McLean didn't get it easy. No. He just, that's the way he loves to play. He loves to play on.
I think he just showed his class though, and that's what you come up against. And at times, I don't think we played into his strengths because he has a lot of strengths, unfortunately. It just goes to show that sometimes you come up against a real I think I've had this conversation with a lot of people. Sligo at the moment strike me a little like Drogheda last year, and Cork probably are a bit similar to us, that they've lost players on loans or they've gone back or they've moved on to other clubs, and those players were key for them. Like they've lost a keeper and a striker. We lost 2 defenders last year to loan signings and gone. Drogheda went and strengthened in real key areas, and that's what Sligo seem to have done.
Yes,
got some real good players in, Premier Division players, and a lot of them have that Premier Division experience as well, and have recruited extremely well, and got in there. And I think, although probably not everyone got in there tonight for them, but the likes of Patrick McLean just kind of showed. Jadakiki at times, you can still see that he's a lovely spin on him, finds the players out. Didn't get as much booze as Ryan. Ryan got
that's. I mean, I commented into Algrove really early. I understand when a player comes back to Oriel Park, and he probably knows most of the lads in the shed. In fairness to him, he played locally at Glenview, for God's sake. He would have known. I think the brothers there as well. But you don't like to see it. I know he's an expert, but there's certain times I'm all for certain. I'm not going to call it players' names, but I'm all for certain players getting a bit of a boo because certain players left in bad form. But if you get relegated and the league champions going looking for you, you're not going to be saying no to it. Do you know what I mean? So I didn't agree with it, but look, I mean, it's not like I don't think it got too nasty. There's a couple of comments on Twitter, but I wouldn't be a fan of it if you lead the club the right way. I mean, the kid done all he could for us. I mean, there's not. Look, he didn't have a great season last year, but then who did? Do you know what I mean? We got relegated with Premier Division players on our team. But yeah, I wouldn't be a fan of it. I wouldn't want it to overall the night, right? Wouldn't we talk about too much? But I mean, there is certain players that I would quite happily give a boo to when they're right back to Oriel Park. Certain centre half from Monaghan there not that long ago. He'd definitely be one of them. But look, it's not in a nasty way. It's just to let you know, we didn't like the way you left, and that's just the way it is. It's not personal. That's just football. Yeah. But I wouldn't be. I think Ryan's a decent skin. I wouldn't be. And look, like I say, he's still only 15 or something. What is he? He probably knows that. He probably knows he still hangs around the boys in the street. He's going backwards, I can tell you. But look, I wouldn't be a fan of it. No, look, that's not. I think they got relegated. He decided to move. Look, Jesus Christ, you can't. It'd be different if you went sideways and went to draw. I could kind of half understand it. But you go to league champions, Damien Duff, legend of football, comes knocking. So what? If Damien Duff came knocking for this podcast, we'd probably go. You know what I mean?
That's true. To concede the second one so soon after the first is probably it's their next real attack. It's only a couple of minutes later. That's probably another disappointing thing. It's probably more defendable than the other one because it's you got to cut out the cross. You got to push the defender out. It's a very good header. Don't get me wrong. Jake Doyle Hayes, former Villa man, of course, coming back to haunt me.
It's a header that you can't Minot can't do a lot of it, either of them.
No, absolutely.
It's the only place you can put the ball and score. Yeah, it's the only place you can put the ball that you can score a goal. It's one of those that it's zipped in. I don't even think he's left the ground. I can't remember who he's gotten in front of, but I mean, it's
hard to see because there's kind of 2 players straight in behind him. I think it's probably a mixture of O'Keefe and maybe Leonard together. And one of them seems fairly tight behind him, but like I say, he kind of holds the defender off and flicks the header back.
Yeah.
Hard to know if he's just knocking it on to somebody else or
that's it. He's probably not even expecting it to go where it goes. He's definitely hoping it does. But I mean, it's to the inch perfect. I mean, it's that fat, it's paced. All he has to do is add to it. He doesn't need to put any power on it. Because it's whipped in, the pace stays on it, keeper can't get to it. I mean, it's just, you can, again, you stop the cross. That's where it goes back to basics. Stop the cross, and you don't get these. If a ball is crossed in right,
it's funny. We talked about Shane Tracy's legs and what he would have for the second half. He kind of dives in a little bit and gives Fitzgerald that little bit of space. He kind of sells him a dummy, and by the time Shane has fallen for that and tries to adjust his body right, Fitzgerald's able to get that cross in, and it's a very good cross.
And if it's something they've worked on, or not worked on, but I mean, if they're expecting the cross, and the strikers, the attacking team will always have to run on the defender. So the average of percentages, they'll always get to it first. But you got to you got to stop the cross. And, if it's the other way around and we got Sean Keogh throwing it in for Dean Nebby, he'll do the same thing. So it's the cross you got to stop. I mean, it's not always easy if you're tired, I suppose. But I mean, you shouldn't be that tired after conceding a goal. I mean, you're mentally drained maybe, but you should be ready to go. Are you ready to fight? But look, it's you can take nothing away.
I think the first one's a sucker punch, and then the second's a kick to the gut, isn't it?
Absolutely, it's just you haven't got time to boil the kettle and sit down for the rest. It's that fast. It's crazy. But when you're not taking your chances. And that's the first time probably all season we haven't gotten away with not taking chances. Don't get me wrong. We haven't
the previous week and
I mean, if you look at it, if we'd have taken our chance in the first half, which how many times we sat in this podcast and we just haven't taken any kind of chance, because it changed the mentality of the match. It changed the way Sligo approach it then, and they'll always go for it. But even they weren't expecting the start of the second half that they got. But the Dog always seemed to have those few minutes in the second half. Well, we're in the ascendancy in the first half and we don't really want halftime. Halftime comes and first 10, 15 minutes, we're done. It just seems
we're two down.
We don't always lose the game, but I mean, we always seem to be struggling. We always seem to maybe. I'd like to know when we concede goals. Or we seem to be very poor in the second half. I don't know what that is, but look, you pay for it tonight. I mean, look, it's. I'd rather give that away tonight than another 3 points in the league. So perspective and all that. So look, you'd love a cup run. But it's not going to be, that's you can live with that if you get promoted at the end of the year, which I fully expect you will. We won't be mentioning the cup from the Rio.
Exactly. If you're Kieran and Ken, I suppose what's the positives you're taking from this that you weren't overawed? I mean, I'm thinking we've got Wexford at home next week, and they conceded 4 against Shamrock Rovers tonight. So we didn't do that. We didn't capitulate. We stayed in that game. It's just unfortunate we haven't been able to put the ball in the net. You think of, like you said, Harry Groom's big chance at the end of the first half, O'Keefe's header as well, Dean Ebbe's chance running around, and we have worked Sam Sargent the most, a lot more than Enda was worked tonight. Is that the real positive? I suppose that we went toe to toe with a decent Premier Division team, and we weren't overawed by it for the majority of the match. You would say we were probably the better team. And 2-0 is in. If that was a 1-0 defeat, you probably say probably okay, a little bit of skill, a little bit of magic won the game, but there was nothing in it. But even at 2-0, I think there wasn't anything in it. No. Bar they took their chances. That's about it.
And for me, we there's no doubt in Sligo definitely for maybe 10, 12 minutes were probably the better, but overall we were 100% the better team. Now that doesn't mean you deserve anything. I'm blue in the face, and you have to earn it. And if you're not willing to walk the keeper, I mean, look, we've walked them, although I won't say handy saves, but saves you'd expect to make. You would have made them, Chris, for Carnival. But what you have to do, you got to find a way of playing a different way. You got to find a way of really getting the ball into the back of that net. Otherwise, that's how you get punished. But I mean, we're 100%. You don't deserve anything, but we definitely earned a goal. Now, whether or not we'd be sitting here after a league match saying the same thing, I don't know. You'd be probably more disappointed if it was a league game. Into the result. If you get the performance in and your bet in a league match, you're probably more annoyed. But tonight, it's a shot to nothing. In parts, I thought we played some of the best football we played all year. I really do, and I get it. I know, I keep saying this podcast, we're very guilty of coming on very fresh straight after a game and maybe not kind of sitting back and watching it properly. But I thought in parts we were excellent. And overall, the better team. There's no doubt in my mind we're the better team tonight. But it's a night where you can kind of sit back and maybe try stuff. Maybe say, look, maybe play 1 or 2.
Well, it's more experience for Sean Spade tonight, I suppose you would also say. It's good to get him in. Hopefully, Sean Keogh's injury isn't so bad. We probably got O'Keefe back in, got some minutes into his legs, a lot more minutes than he was probably expected to get then as well. And perhaps that might be something that by, not by design or anything like that, but this himself and Vinny might be a partnership he might look for that Wexford match, because I'm just thinking you are coming up against Rowe and Dobbs in that, who we know have some quality, and Mikey Rowe has scored enough goals this year to demand some sort of respect. So maybe the fact that the two lads got to play some minutes tonight, maybe that's something then they could work on all week. Yeah, and I think I was listening to this, I kind of came across a video of Stephen Bradley after the Rovers game tonight, and one of the first things he was saying was how good Wexford were in the first half. It probably looked the phone had probably flattered Rovers a little bit. Now, he didn't say that, but based on what he was saying with the first half, Wexford came out the block strong. But we kind of have to, like, if we produce that, if we play that tonight in parts, we'll tear teams asunder in the first division. Like, and I don't want to clip that and people come back to me in a couple of weeks. But I mean, I really don't think they can be too annoyed over it. I really don't. If it's a first division, there's no positives in that, do you think? Yeah, I mean, if it's a first division team or it's Drogheda, that's probably where you'd be really annoyed over it. I don't think you'd be too, like, obviously as a coach, the two boys will probably be fuming over little bits that we haven't picked up on, little things that they probably would have worked in training. You should have put it this way, you should have studied. Look, that's what tactical football is all about. That's why the boys are paid the money they are. That's why they're professional coaches. No, I've enough of the under-13s bells. Like Sean. Enough for me. But no, like, I mean, but I think overall, to go toe-to-toe with them and, really not barring the strikes, we probably should have won it. I know that's, if you don't score, you're not going to win anything. But I mean, them two strikes are probably the one that would be probably more annoying than the fact that we've beaten. The fact that we can see the goals like that, I'd be a crack in strikes. If you can stop the ball, like the boys would be annoyed at the back. I mean, like Frank had said, really young. We have to remember the age of these boys. Like, you have Vinnie Leonard, 13 years of age or something, whatever. Like it's crazy. Them boys have come from nowhere and go toe to toe. And I think Conor O'Keefe might push that up a touch though. Yeah, he averages out to about 19. But like, even I said, I kind of thought Vinnie Leonard we might even have for the second half of the season. So if you keep players like that in your squad, then To be fair to Vinny, I think he started pushing up further and further at the end of that second half. As well. What a machine to have as a marauding centre back to go up front. Like, he's like Brian Garland, but he plays like he can play football like a CDM. Like a Harry. He's a touch of a natural footballer. Not like Brian Garland couldn't play football, but Brian Garland had a way about him of just getting in amongst it. And like, what an option to show somebody up top late in the game, like Vinny Leonard. Like, I mean, absolute machine. He's everything. Quick, fast, strong. Probably has an eye for goal. We don't know, but there's not much else he can do. But I don't think we have any right to be too annoyed over it. We're probably annoyed we haven't maybe scored a goal to get on the score sheet. But look, you can see 2 goals. The point there is good. Like, if we weren't creating these chances, it would be seriously worried. Yeah, that's what Kieran Kilduff said that the very first time we spoke to him. Like, we were talking about the striking situation, we can't score goals, and he was saying, well, if you can't create chances, that's worse. So you just need someone to be there on the end and put the ball in the back of the net. And unfortunately, on a couple of occasions this year, we've probably been a little bit short with that. We're definitely worth a goal tonight. But I mean, the 2 strikes are good enough to win any game. Yeah. They're really, the first one in particular is a crack. So, and then, I mean, if we had another, maybe, I'd say if that goal comes maybe 5 or 6 minutes later, we're probably a bit more settled for the second goal. I think it's come that fast in the first, and we're just not ready for the second. We really are. We should be. Look, the professional footballers are near enough. They should be ready, but they weren't. And that's just inexperience, and it comes with it. But I mean, if you're going to go out in a game, you're going to perform well and be bet. Cup match is better to do it than losing 3 points every week. So that's probably the more important thing. Look, you would have loved the cup run as the Dundalk fans. We badly missed it, at the Aviva. But look, that's I'll happily trade all of that to get back into the Premier Division. Yeah, and just as a special note, I think before we wrap up on the game, A. Dervin tonight seemed to cover every single blade of grass. Really important challenges, broke up play extremely well. Once they tried the counter, he seemed to be right there every time, trying to break it up or just hassle players that put them under pressure. They give away the ball or whatever. But he seemed to be everywhere. He seemed to be energized, playing against that type of opposition as well.
Yeah, I'd like to see. I'd like to see.
Performances.
Yeah, I don't know if they still use Stat Sports or what they're using up there, but I'd like to see the miles he covers. Now he's probably not told to go out and do that either. They probably just wind him up and set him out like a Jack Russell. But he's an absolute. I don't think I've seen anybody. I'm trying to think, but I don't think I've seen anybody cover. Like Richie Towell would have done a lot of running when he played in Oriel Park. I think I know he got a lot of plaudits for his goals, but he would have covered every blade of grass as well. But I don't think I've seen anybody like Delvin in a long time. He's like a terrier and will not give it up. And I'd say he's an absolute nightmare to play in midfield. I'd say he's a nightmare to play with because every time you turn, he's there, whether you're with him or against him. But look, that's why he's been signed. That's why he's vice captain. And he would allow the likes of, if he's doing all that work, he allows the likes of your Grooms, your Tracys, your Parashivs, your Hawkins to get on the ball and attack those centre backs. And if we just had that little bit of know-how in the box, that little bit of luck, could have been a different outcome, but it'd be no fault of his because, Frank, that's it.
Frank throwed all the cliches out today for us.
Frank's in the dictionary.
Or the Monopoly board.
But Delvin is just many times, but I think all season. Look, everybody's been great this season. What we've been talking about, it's the usual suspects. Bioa, Finney Leonard, Parashiv and Bart when he goes, come on, Delvin.
Yeah,
I mean, I think already you're probably looking at, if he continues in the vein, you're probably talking player of the year. I don't think you're going to go too far wrong with any of the names that's just been mentioned. But Friday's touch wood, there's no injuries. We can't afford any more now. But yeah, look, I mean, an absolute. We knew when we signed him that was a massive statement. Mayoa, Delvin, we've got the Minogan as well, and Owen Kenny as well. So look, it's you need that kind of spine in your team, and Delvin's been the perfect example of how badly we want to get, and almost how much he wanted it for himself because he's part of the team that got relegated.
He
wants. Look, I know it's a couple of years, but he's sensational. He's been sensational, really has.
I suppose the other thing you'll think of, back to over 2,000 tonight as well. See to create a good atmosphere, therefore as well. Just unfortunately, there isn't a goal to ignite. To get everyone behind, but if you could get the majority of that back out now for next Friday, because it's going to take something like this, because it's easy to get up for the cup match like this Premier Division team coming to town, but in reality, I'm just going to double check. It's like Cove have to go up to Harps on the Friday night. We're home to Wexford, and then Bray will be travelling the next day to Longford. So it's one of those things, we know that the Ballybuffet is not an easy place to go, home of our first defeat. So it won't be easy, but you'd like to think if we can keep that sort of atmosphere and keep playing the way we are, the goals will come. And if we can put another statement victory, a bit like the Cove one that we've done previously, that could be just one to kind of keep ourselves ahead of the pack, the chasing pack behind us.
Yeah, I think we have to. I think we've 3 of the next 4 at home, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's
could well because we back to back away games before that.
You have a good, you have a good lot of games there. I was going to say you could afford a draw against someone. You don't want to afford any draw, but I mean 3 at home. If you get those 3 locked in, that's your 9. Like you say, Cove have to go to Finn Harps. That won't be easy. Even if they win it, that'll be a slog and a half. Even if they go up there and win. But I mean, you got to get a similar crowd, if not more, up now, because this is the business end of the season now. That's your cup gone, so there's no more weekends where you're going to say, right, we have a cup match here. We know what we're at between now and the end of October, whatever it finishes. And now we know what we're doing every Friday. So they just got to get stuck in. They just got to go for it, and it's in a way. It's probably a good team to play because they play the ball. They play the ball right, like Stephen Bradley said. We know what we're up against. We played them already. The only team that you probably would have loved to play more at is probably Cove because there's a bit more to it. But Wexford will give us a hell of a game. We wouldn't be taking anything for granted off them. But I think it's one of them matches that we'll have to go toe to toe with them. And if you want to win those games, you got to be at your best. And I think if we can produce anything close to tonight, albeit get the ball in the back of net earlier.
I think that's it. I think an early goal or something could really ignite one, the atmosphere, but two, everything in Oriel Park and really get us kind of going. And that's probably all that's needed. Think of all the chances and everything we created. You're just looking for Harry Groom to just be that far out and just put it in the net, like he's done previous, and that
on another night, like Groom's chance on another night, it probably goes in. It's just one of them that you're playing against the higher.
I think I'll watch that back about 4 times, and it'll go in one of these times.
Enda Minogue is a Premier Division goalkeeper. There's no doubt about it. But now we're coming up against Premier Division goalkeepers. Whereas, and that's not in disrespect of anybody who played this season, but these lads are playing week in, week out against the best in the country. So those chances aren't going to be as easy come next season. But if it was, maybe it's a first division league game, they probably go in. But it's one of them nights. Tony's right. We won't be too far off. I think if we can produce anything close to that. Like we said I'm saying that I don't know how long we haven't hit top gear yet. I still think that's as close as we gone to being at our best in Paris.
Yeah, I think the Cove match at home was our best performance. We kept the clean sheet, we scored a goal. We seemed to boss that one as well that night and kept them to pretty much next to nothing as well. And as I said, definitely the first half performance tonight was right up there as well. It was probably just missing the goal. On that note, I forgot to stick up the old banner and mention at the start, we'll probably do a man of the match because there's that many comments.
We've probably more comments for man of the match tonight without even calling for one.
For yourself, Gally, who stood out?
Again,
all the way back through the method.
Like most weeks, I'm always torn between two. I always like to have two anyway because I don't want to give it an outright. I mean, Vinnie Leonard. Look, I could probably not watch the game and not watch the game for 6 weeks and know that Vinnie Leonard's going to be in there. I think even Vinnie Leonard missing a game probably still is in there for man of the match for whatever he's done in training that week. But I really can't look any forward than Dave Delvin. I thought he was excellent. I thought he was
probably one of his best performances.
Everywhere, like he's absolutely everywhere. I mean, you're playing against, I don't want to keep reiterating, but you're playing against Premier Division, and trying not to be disrespectful in first division because there's some quality footballers in the first division. But he's sensational. Like he would literally play anywhere, and can probably play anywhere if asked. I really don't see past Dave Delvin tonight. I mean, definitely a mention for Leonard. I thought Tracy in the first half was sensational. Not that he was bad in the second half. It's just I'm basing it on where his best parts were. But no,
Harry Groom had a good game. Just missed obviously those probably two of the best chances in the match probably fell to him, and he was unable to take that chance tonight. But otherwise, I thought he had a fairly good performance as well. You'd like to probably to see a bit longer from him. He seems to come into matches and looks extremely good, and then kind of comes out of it a bit more towards people like and probably Darrell Horgan are constantly in the game.
And if a Ruby doesn't play against Patrick McLean, then look, you don't know what you're coming out with there, right? I might have got to grab the goal or two. Look, that's how you look. But if you want to compete and you want to play, be at your best, you got to play against these defenders. But if they haven't, for me, I really, I don't see anything other than that for me.
This has been an easy one then because that's exactly what I'd pick as well. There's like an absolute ton for A as well tonight. Not surprising. Actually, look, we'll go with Ronan. Just put it in there. Just Dervin man of the match with a good performance all over the pitch as well. So congratulations, Ronan, you're a winner of our Tony's Pizza 15-inch pizza in Tony's Pizzeria. So Vinny and the lads will have that for you. Just mention our names that you're this week's winner. So congratulations, Ronan. Gally, just before we finish up, Sunday is the deadline. So the last of these jerseys, this year's ones. So chatting to Carl there in Playerfit, sales do seem to be going extremely well on this. We thought, look, if we sell a handful of jerseys, we'd be laughing we're probably tipping over the 30 jerseys sold at this point, which is absolutely fabulous. So look, for anyone that has been able to buy one straight away, we just want to say thank you so much. We do appreciate everyone's support for that. And if anyone else is has that opportunity, I suppose, to purchase it, the closing day is on Sunday night. So probably Sunday at midnight, I think it probably closes, does it?
Midnight. Yeah. If we sell enough jerseys, we'll get a 5-a-side goal.
Yeah, there we go. You're trying to pull that for a 5-a-side for the transplant team. So we did there. And just to shout out, obviously the charity match for Head in the Game is up in Oriel Park tomorrow as well. So obviously if anyone is free and available, to throw your support.
Didn't get the invite to that one. I don't. Well, anyway, look. So no.
I wasn't given the invite to do the recording, or you weren't there for the comms. So
I need to speak to the people who aren't on this podcast tonight.
Yeah, exactly. Well, look, on that note, as I say, we'll be back as ever next week after the Wexford match. But until then, come on to town.
My black and white scarf, my black and white scarf, my black